So that aspect of my childhood was a real lucky break for me.
That's why you are the way you are.
Probably.
Yes, yes.
And, at least that's the good side of me. So.
Yes, a couple of plastic surgeons that I've spoken to always had a very severe father, you know, a mom that was going through issues or was being dominated by him. There's always something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I wonder if that led them to go into plastic surgery.
Do you want to, I'll show you, I'll be better than you, or I'll be as good as you, one of those issues. So, they poured into the world. Look, I made it. I'm better than you. See, I'm a plastic surgeon.
Well, I think you find a lot of people, and politicians too, who are extraordinarily driven, and businessmen.
Actors.
Actors
writers,
too,
producers.
who find incredible success.
Yes.
But are they happy, is the other question.
Most of them aren't, because they didn't do the inner work. They're so focused on outer, responses to them, fame, and being glorified, that they forget to go inward. And that's why so many of them do drugs and commit suicide, even at the top of their game. And we hear a lot about that. But someone like you, who knew what he wanted to do relatively young, what do you have to say for other people who don't have a vision, or maybe didn't have the blessing of a childhood like yours, who's struggling, who's 20-something or in college or not in college, saying, I have no clue what to do with my life, and I don't know how to figure that out?
Well, I'm not sure I have the answer, but the truth of the matter is you have to be in the game. You have to be out there. And I think it's important, and one thing that's really helped me a lot is, and it sounds silly, but to have a positive outlook. Even when the odds seem to be stacked against you, be cheerful. Be optimistic and positive, because I think that, I hate to say vibe, but that vibe brings good things to you, brings opportunities. So rather than be downtrodden and let it get the best of you and kind of go along with that negative scenario, I think it really helps to, what I call, have contrarian thinking. Everything looks bleak, there's no clear answer. I'm going to flip a switch. And I like to think about what the ideal guy in my situation, how he would deal with a problem. And I respect that person because he seems to handle things better than I naturally would, so I'll try to emulate that person. And I find that helps. So I think that the two ideas of trying to be the best person you can, but also making sure you're in the game, be out there with a positive outlook and disposition, good things tend to come to you.
Yes, and doing positive things instead of sitting home crying or doing drugs.
Absolutely.
Or watching shoot up movie after shoot up movie and blowing up movies and watching the news.
Right.
Do something for other people. Get out there, be of service, volunteer.
Great
then you'll
examples.
start meeting people, and people start saying, oh, I know this guy if you want to get a job. And
right. I think that's good advice.
Showing up.
And the problem is it's hard to say, well, if you do that for 2 weeks, your opportunities will be available. It may take 2 years, but at least
you're getting out there, and slowly
there.
that'll shift your consciousness. You'll
Right.
see a different world. You're not going to just see a world of your inner world, which is dark.
Yeah, there are opportunities out there, but they're
There's a
not going to
lot.
throw themselves at you.
No.
I think you have to connect with people and through people and put out a good sense or a good vibe, and those opportunities will hopefully come to you.
Yeah, and that's a muscle. You have to work that muscle.
That's right.
You can't just sit here and think about it. It takes effort to get up there the first time or the second time. You're like, I'd rather stay home than go and help in a school or read to the elderly or do whatever it is you do.
But haven't we all seen somebody who's in the same boat but has
Yes.
just that great outlook and great attitude about
Yes.
solving problems? We have to emulate them. It may not be the way you think inside, internally, but I think you can learn from copying people who are successful. That kind of an attitude, be positive with people. I mean, it sounds silly, but I think we should all make an effort at least once or twice a day driving around Los Angeles to go out of our way to be kind to somebody else. Let them in the lane. They'll do it to somebody else. It just gives a good vibe and makes people feel better about life.
Yeah. I have a girlfriend who carries a backpack filled with like little basic necessities and some cookies and stuff like that. And when she's feeling down, she goes and delivers these backpacks to people.
Yeah, good
homeless,
idea.
And it's just so sweet. It's like, you do what? She goes, yeah, I was super depressed and crying. So I put together more backpacks and went out there and just spent the day giving these backpacks out and talking to homeless people. I'm like, oh my God, that is so amazing.
The other thing that's nice is to stop and help the elderly. I mean,
Yes,
if you see
absolutely.
elderly
It's the simplest
people,
things.
don't expect people to be friendly to them.
Yes.
And their affects are somewhat subdued. If you see an elderly person, you go out of your way to ask them, how are you today? I hope you're having a good day. A big bright smile breaks out on their face.
Yes.
makes them feel good, makes you feel good. Doesn't cost anything. It's something
Yes.
that we should all be doing.
So what are some parenting tips? How are you raising your son?
2 kids. Well,
Well,
I think the most important thing is to let them know you love them. Let them know that you're there for them, you support them, but that's not a free ride to do anything they want. So they have a sense of responsibility in exchange for knowing that you as a parent will always be there and supporting them, but guiding them. And I've found that it's, the child parenting relationship to me is the most ideal I've found. I've had relationships, they're tough. Adults with adults, I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't had total success in that one yet. And I don't know too many people have, but a few have. But the parent-child bond is so unbreakable. It's such a strong, simple relationship of trust and love that it's unsurpassed. I think it's just the best. It's the biggest part of my life, and I never expected it because my dad spoiled me as an only child. I just thought it would skip a generation, but I find that I think I've equaled my father's love for me in giving love to my children, and I found that to be extremely satisfying and gratifying.
so what do you want your legacy to be?
Wow. I think my legacy is going to be that I was a decent person, an honest person, a loving and giving person, and it's as simple as that. Worked hard, tried to play as much as possible, but was there for my friends and my kids.
And you shifted many lives with your profession.